Welcome, my name's Opie. I'm a psychic medium out of Winnipeg Beach, Manitoba, Canada. And here is the incredible story of surrender, trust, all on a meditation. To start this journey, I have to take you back in time to June 2020 when I opened up my abilities and started my path as a psychic medium. I was always shown this incredible landing place of our acreage, this beautiful land that our family will be able to put our roots into, grow, and flourish for many generations. Anytime I connected to an intuitive or consulted on support, they always referred to this land. They always referred to the importance of this piece of time that was destined in my path. I lived in Regina since I was 8 years old. Prior to that, I was in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And as a child, I was fully clairvoyant, not realizing what it was. I thought that was what everybody referred to as an imagination. When we moved to Regina, my abilities got turned off, and I lived a life very disconnected from spirit. Now, it was incredible as well during this kind of awakening, opening up, building my practice, building my community, building my work. I always was excited for the moment in time of when we got to step closer to our property. Now, when I always got shown this property, I always got shown the boats, the water, the small town community feel, lots of lush grass and trees and greenery, but you could still connect to the sky. A lot of provinces I don't feel comfortable in because I can never see the sky. Growing up in Saskatchewan, that's all you have access to is open fields and sky. As my work progressed, I had a lot of forensic work in the Maritimes. Oddly enough, a psychic medium in the middle of the prairies, not very well known, and probably about 90% of my forensic work was in the Maritimes for missing people, which was something that I always assumed I was destined to align there. Halifax, I always thought, with all the boats and the fishing, the community and the character and the charm. And then fast forward a little bit more, destiny aligned. I also got called to consult one of my intuitives. Her name's Carrie, and I'll put her information below because she is an incredible psychic. Jason and I had been looking at tons of acreages at that point. We all of a sudden got the nudge, the pull. We were feeling momentum building that we were meant to move soon. And then just like that, I booked this session. Without saying anything, Carrie started the session and said, "Did you know you're going to be moving soon?" And I laughed at her. I said, "There is not a chance." "What do you mean? Is it here? Is it finally here?" She said, "Yes, I see you landing in your new home, which is not in Saskatchewan, by mid-August." And I couldn't believe it. We were finally here. I was so excited. Now, she showed me and shared these little pieces that they were referring to and the different pieces of information, but she couldn't get the full picture. They blocked her because there was a process with this that I had to experience as well. And right after that, I had a session booked with my Feng Shui master, and I had never sought his information on this prior to this moment in time. And I said, "Listen, this is it. I need to know where my energy is best aligned." Now, as he was doing his little information inputting and checking things out, the anticipation was building within me because I was like, it is going to be the Maritimes. I know it is. And I was so excited for the validation and recognition of that moment. And I sat there in silence and I anticipated and I anticipated. And all of a sudden, Winnipeg, Manitoba came up. My mouth hit the floor. I laughed and I said, "Did you know the history of Manitoba or Winnipeg with me?" He looked at me and said, "No." And I told him as a child, being clairvoyant. And he laughed and he said, "Of course, that's where your energy best aligns, right here." And I was a little stunned. I was a deer in headlights, and I said, I can't live in this city. I have to think and meditate on this. It has to be small town. And I told him what I was shown in my meditations. So that day I sat down, eager to connect to spirit. Now, they've always shown me this little piece on a map that never made sense. It was a specific shape, and there was this little output, and now I had a reference point. So I went into meditation, and they again kept showing me it on the map. But now they showed it to me in Manitoba. I was very perplexed. I didn't understand what was happening because I was shown all these pieces, but I had built the picture around these pieces. I did not let spirit fill in the blanks for me. I filled them in prior to this moment. So I sat down on Google and I started looking and looking and looking. What is this Gimli, Manitoba? Being that I grew up in Winnipeg, we always went to Grand Beach, which was on the other side of the lake. I had no idea about all these communities that were on this side of the lake. So I Googled it and I started laughing so loud at myself because it was the Maritimes in Manitoba. This beautiful community with events, connections, a large senior community, which meant that it was safe and there was a lot of great individuals around. We have the harbor, we have boats, we have fishing, we have pickerel, we have all these amazing things. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to tell my husband. So I sat down with Jason and I went through all the pieces, and he looked at me and he was like, huh. And I had to let it sink in as he was at his long-term 11-year job at Regina Airport. And I had then left the federal government, which I was a part of for 10 years. We had a lot of stability. We had our home. We had our family. We have our friends around. And here I was putting on the plate that we're just going to up and move. Well, I was already knowing what was happening. I had decided this is it. This is the moment. So I started doing all the last bits of the renovations, clearing out the house, getting things ready. And him and I kept having these discussions. And this was the moment. This was the moment we got our kids into a small community. We got to experience the sense of life that we wanted to experience, that we had always dreamt of and talked about, and we're excited for this opportunity. All of a sudden, the market started doing really good in Regina, and it was the best value we could get for the home since we had moved in. So just like that, Jason and I agreed this was our time. We shared it with the family, which of course was a heartbreaking moment because this was the very unexpected moment nobody anticipated. So there was a lot of different emotions around that, which we understand to this day. It wasn't easy. And just like that, the home sold. We had a bidding war, which was amazing. And 8 weeks later, we arrived in Gimli. Now, during that 8-week period, we decided it was best to come for at least a 24-hour period to see that this was a safe community, that this was a welcoming experience, that we were landing in a great place. And we were so happy with what we saw. I got the last office that was available for rent in Gimli. It was right across the main public beach, which was even more exciting to me, as I would be able to sneak away to the water, do little walks around the neighborhood. We had all the shops right there. So there was also a visual component for people to be able to see my business. We got a cabin that was the best suited for our energy alignment out of the options that were available. At the time, there was only 3 cabins available to rent, and Jason and I were adamant we wanted to rent so that we'd be able to get to know the area, experience different things, learn about the different communities, and decide where it was best for us to purchase down the road. Now, it was incredible when we got to land here and start creating our life. It felt as though when I crossed the border, this huge energy shift within me. I don't even know how to explain it. It felt like years of shackles just kind of being broken off of my hands and my feet. Although I really love Regina and I love and am grateful for all the memories, there was just so much turmoil and pain and rawness and birthing who I was meant to be in this city. It had not become a place that I wanted to raise my children in. There was a lot of things that had occurred in our path that were heartbreaking, and we really wanted to prevent long-term damage with my youngest 2 children. We wanted a safer environment, a more connected community, and a lot more opportunities that we wouldn't have access to in the city. So when we landed here, we hit the road running. It was mid-August, and there was so much to do, and it was liberating. We rented this cute little cabin that was 20 minutes north of Gimli in this beautiful community called Silver Harbor. It was the New Arnez, and it was a wood-burning stove. We had neighbors, but space between us, so we still got to adjust to living in nature and still have people around us. There was even a little post office right beside the harbor there. We were 2 minutes walk away from the beach, and I got to connect to people in the community that I know will be lifelong connections that I'm forever grateful for. There was a lot of memories there. There was a lot of experiences there. And it couldn't have been more beautiful if we wanted the experience to be. Jason and I forever speak of how grateful we are for how that seed that had been planted so many years ago just gently blossomed and started coming out of the ground. And we flourished it and we watered it, and it grew beautiful. We are so grateful. The opportunities, the experiences, the connections, the memories, the things that our children have access to here is unlike anything we have ever experienced in our lives. And it has been forever changing for us. And it's all because we were open to receive. We were patient in receiving. And even though it wasn't presented in the way we wanted, we flowed with it. I know our land is close. All the intuitives get excited now speaking of it. We're in no rush. We know everything will happen as it's meant. Every twist and turn is not by chance. But the beautiful gift of this all is that we are listening and we flow where spirit aligns us to. Forever grateful for the magic of landing in Gimli, for the memories in Silver Harbor, and the roots being planted forevermore. Would you move your family on a meditation? Follow along on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. All the links are below. Thank you for being a part of my journey.